Hello, all my magicians out there. My name is Brian, and today's transmission is going to be about contrast and how it relates to our manifestations and our ascension. So, basically, giving an understanding of why we experience contrast, because contrast is ultimately a paradox, right? Because it's showing us what we don't want, right? And it can trigger doubt. It can trigger a lack of self-worth. It can trigger a lack of abundance. It just triggers lack, period. So the transmission is about giving an understanding of why that is, why that happens, and how it actually does the opposite, how contrast actually propels us into and triggers us into self-worth, self-love, abundance, and all those kind of high vibration kind of emotions. So without further ado, enjoy the transmission, and remember, if it doesn't resonate, don't integrate. All right, see you later. The thing we want you to know about contrast is that contrast is used for the purpose of integrating and being aware of your worthiness. So when it comes to those important manifestations, those strong desires that you have and you want to manifest, and you're experiencing contrast, that means that you have to feel worthy in order to receive that thing. And the contrast is there to trigger your sense of worthiness. Why else would the contrast be there? You cannot receive something that you don't feel worthy of. So in an effort to become aware of that sense of worth, the contrast is there to trigger you into that. And there's no other way to go around it. There's just no other way to go around it. You have, in order for you to receive the thing that you want, you have to feel worthy of it. And it's not necessarily that you need to feel 100% worthy of the thing. You just have to feel more worthy of it than not. You have to feel more worthy of it than not. And so some may argue, well, I do feel worthy. And it's still not there. I still haven't received it yet. I still haven't manifested it into my experience. But then we say, well, that means that you don't feel worthy of it. If you're focusing on the lack of it, that means you don't feel worthy of it. And that's a fact. You cannot receive that quote unquote big manifestation, that important manifestation, if you don't feel worthy of it. And if you're focusing on the lack of it, that's your indicator that you don't feel worthy of it. And you can flip it and twist it and try to rationalize it as much as you want, but that's exactly what that means. And understand that it's not a bad thing to be in that place. You're allowed to feel unworthy. It's not true to who you are. It's an illusion. It's not real, but it is in your human experience, because you experience duality. You experience quote unquote good and bad. So because of that, as a human being, you may judge certain things. You may hold yourself apart from something that you want because you might have a judgment associated with it. And then that makes you not feel worthy of it. That's why, when it comes to simple manifestations or the things that you don't deem important, they flow into your experience more easily. You might not have as many judgments surrounding that topic of desire. If you feel 100% worthy of something, it's going to come into your experience pretty quickly because, it'll manifest pretty quickly into your experience because you have a profound sense of worthiness associated with that certain desire. So it comes faster. And not only that, but if you weren't, knowing that you're worthy of it, you don't pay attention to the lack of it. You don't pay attention to the lack of it. You're almost not even aware that it's not there because you are vibrating a sense of worthiness of that particular manifestation. So it's just boom. As soon as you intend for it, it can take as long as it wants, and you're not even paying attention to it because you feel so worthy of it. You recognize your abundance in it. If you feel like you need that thing, if you feel like you really, really need it, that means that you don't feel worthy of it. If you feel like you really, really, really need something, then that means you don't feel worthy of it. So understand that the contrast is there to help prime your sense of worth. The contrast is there to help prime your sense of worth. And that's why it feels uncomfortable. Is because it's triggering you to look at that. It's triggering you to face that. It's triggering that to your sense of worthiness to surface so that you can get rid of all that doubt and all that, all those lackful kind of limitations that you might have surrounding the thing that you want. It's there to assist you. And understand your sense of worthiness has nothing to do with the desire that you want. It has everything to do with how you feel about you. It has nothing to do with that car. It has nothing to do with the house. It has nothing to do with the kids. It has nothing to do with your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. When you experience contrast with those things, it has nothing to do with that topic. It has everything to do with you and how you feel about you. It has everything to do with how you feel about you. Do you feel worthy of it? Can you feel worthy in spite of the contrast? Can you feel worthy even though that thing that you want looks like it's a no? Looks like the universe is telling you no. Can you feel worthy in spite of the universe seemingly like it's telling you no? That's the question. And it's okay if you don't. That is a great place to be. It is a great place to be in an acknowledgement that I want this thing really, really bad, but I don't feel worthy of it. That's a great start. Because you're starting from the bottom up. And that's how it works sometimes. You've got to start from the bottom up. Hey, universe, I want this thing really bad. Put me on that timeline. And the universe says, yep, Sure will. We're on it now. However, in order for you to be able to receive this thing that you want, you've got to feel worthy of it. And in order for you to feel worthy of it, you've got to build up the awareness that you are. So we as the universe are going to put some things in motion during this journey towards the thing that you really, really want. We're going to put some things in place to help you build that sense of worthiness so that you can receive the thing that you want and not sabotage it with fear or fear of failure or doubt. So understand, sometimes the path of least resistance is to put you through situations and circumstances that trigger you into a place of worthiness. It's all about worthiness. The universe never tells you no. Your higher self never tells you no. God never tells you no. You can have whatever you want. You really, honestly, and truly can. But you're not going to feel that way if you don't feel worthy. If you don't feel worthy, you're not going to feel like you deserve those things that you want. And so it's not, no, you can't have it. It's, do you feel worthy of it? That's what it is. It's not meant for you. It's not God trying to save you from yourself. It's not, I better want something else because this is too hard for me to have. This is too difficult for me to attain. It's none of those things. It is, do you feel worthy of the thing that you want? And if you don't, that's a great place to start because we're going to help you get to that point. And it might be uncomfortable. But if you can be aware of the fact that this journey is unfolding for you and you're set on the course of this timeline towards the thing that you want, you can start to relax. You can start to relax. And know that all that contrast is a mechanism to help put you in a mindful state of your sense of worthiness. It's to help you become aware of your worthiness because you are worthy. Not feeling worthy is an illusion because that's not true to who you are. If you have an awareness of self, you are worthy. I am that I am. You are worthy. Every day, all day. Every day, all day, you're worthy. No matter what comes up in your experience, no matter what your ego tells you, if your ego is telling you you're not worthy or you're wrong or you're doing something wrong or you're bad, it's not true. It's an illusion. So understand that contrast is for the purpose of you solidifying that sense of worthiness so that you can allow the thing that you want to come into your three-dimensional experience. Because it cannot come if you don't feel worthy of it. And you don't have to feel 100% worthy. Again, you just need to feel worthy enough to receive it. You just need to feel worthy enough to receive it. You got to feel maybe, 60 to 70% worthy enough to receive it. You don't have to be perfect. It's not about perfection. It's about balance. It's about knowing that the contrast, when it shows up to shake you up, it's getting rid of that unworthiness. And you've got to know that. You have to know that when you see the contrast, that is helping you to feel worthy of it. Because if you take it as a no, or if you take it as I'm not going to get what I want, then you're going to start to vibrate that truth. Because you can make that true. You can make something that is not really true or should not be true to you in relation to what you want. You can make something true just by your own belief of it. And so if you start to say, if you see the contrast and you start to say, I'm not meant to have it, then that's exactly what the universe is going to respond to. And you're going to set yourself apart from it. Don't be deceived by the contrast. Don't be deceived by the contrast. Allow the contrast to do what it's supposed to do, which is to help you to feel worthy about the thing that you want. Which is, it's to say that it's not about the thing. That's why we say these big manifestations that you're trying to attain, it's more so about your expansion. It's more so about your evolution. It's more so about you acknowledging that you're the creator of your reality. These big manifestations that you're trying to attain is about you coming into the knowledge that you are a spirit being having a temporary human experience. So, this is why we want you to manifest. This is why. It's time you take your power. It's time you get in the driver's seat and not bump around through this three-dimensional reality that you actually have more control over than you really understand or know. So, again, don't let the contrast throw you off. Don't let the contrast be the thing that makes you tell yourself that it's not meant to be. You can only tell yourself if something is meant to be or not. Don't blame it on God when something doesn't work out. Because you are God, vibrating at a lower frequency. You are God. So you can only hold yourself apart from something. Only you. Nobody else. Only you. So get excited about the contrast. Get excited about it. If it triggers you, if it triggers your sense of worth, that means it's working. That means it's working. And then it'll happen until you feel worthy of it. So if you're questioning how long is this going to take, well, how much more worthy do you feel now than you did then? Don't ask the universe, when are you going to yield to me this thing that I want? Ask yourself, when am I going to feel worthy of this? When am I going to feel when am I going to feel more worthy than I did when I initially asked for this thing that I want? But at the same time, don't beat yourself up, and don't judge yourself for not feeling worthy of it yet. You don't feel worthy of it yet for a reason. There is a process. There is a journey. And you're supposed to enjoy it. But we also understand that the lack of it makes you feel like you need it. And when you feel like you need something, it's hard to get into a place where you enjoy the unfolding of it. Because you're full of discord. You're full of fear and anxiety and you know, what if? The unknown freaks you out. So then you start to hold yourself apart from it, you know? But that's part of the journey too. Resistance is part of the journey as well. You know, if you didn't have any resistance to the thing that you wanted, there would be no expansion. There would be no delicious unfolding that you could experience if you were resistant free to everything that you intended for. What's the fun in that? Like having cheat codes to your to the most fun games, to the funnest games, you know, that you could play. It's like if you already get everything at the beginning of the game that you want, what's the purpose of the game? There's no purpose of it. And you have to treat your human experience the same way. Don't get so bent out of shape because something that you want hasn't come yet. Just let it unfold. Just be like water. And understand that the contrast is there to help assist your sense of worthiness in relation to the thing that you want. That's what it's there for. And your awareness of it is actually the thing that helps you to align to it. You can only perceive of the thing that you are the vibrational match to. You can only perceive of that which you are the vibrational match to. So when things are looking like, you know, like they're not, it's not going to happen. When the contrast is there saying, ooh, do you really want this? Do you feel worthy of this? Your job is to say, yep. I may not right now, but I still want this. I may not feel 100% worthy of it right now, but I absolutely want this. And that's enough. That's enough. And that means you're on the timeline of it. That means you're on the timeline of it. That means that you are aligning to it. You're getting ready for it. You're preparing for it. Don't you let that contrast bend you out of shape. Don't let it trigger you into feeling defeated about it. That's what it is. Don't let it, it's okay if it makes you feel unworthy. That's actually okay. Because you're not doing it you're not integrating that sense of worthiness consciously. Right? It's something the bigger part of you is helping you to do. That's why it's being shown to you in the way that it's being shown to you. You don't need to say, when I was 16, I went through A, B, and C, and that's why I don't feel worthy. When this happened to me, it affected my sense of worth. Don't do that. Don't pick yourself apart because you don't feel worthy. It's not about that. You're being assisted. So when you're triggered by the contrast into self-worth, understand that that's exactly what it's doing. It's triggering you into self-worth. You don't need to pick yourself apart. You don't need to dissect yourself. You don't need to judge yourself. You don't need to beat yourself up. You don't need to ask why. Don't ask why. If you ask why, you automatically know this is so that I can feel worthy of this thing that I want. That's it. Point blank period. Nothing more than that. I know that I'm experiencing this contrast in order to feel worthy of the thing that I want. And you will get to a place where when you experience the contrast, it won't faze you so much anymore. And that's how you know you're getting ready for it. That's how you know you're in a better place with it. Don't try to get a better understanding of why you feel worthless. Don't do that to yourself. Don't sit there and ponder, I need to go within. I need to do the dark night of the soul, and I need to pick myself apart. I need to go to a dark place in order to feel worthy. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't need to do that. Just allow your body and your higher self, the God in you, source, do that for you. You're being assisted. It's all being done for you. It takes too much energy for you to put so much effort into trying to feel worthy. Worthiness is not something you effort. It's something that you come into the awareness of. And that's why this is happening. That's why the contrast is there. You're being triggered into being aware of your sense of worth. It's not something that you have to develop. It's just something that you need to be the perceiver of. You've got to be the perceiver of your worthiness. So, it's an intentional thing for the universe, your higher self source, to put you in circumstances that help you to acknowledge your worth. Because remember, manifestation is beginning to change. You're in the driver's seat now. So a lot of things that you want to manifest is going to have to be done from the inside out. And you have to feel worthy of the thing first before you can receive it. You have to feel worthy of it first before you can receive it. And allow yourself to go through the process naturally. It's okay to not feel worthy of something right away. It's absolutely 100% okay to not feel worthy of something that you really want right away. There would be no journey in it if you felt worthy of it right away and had no resistance at all. There would be no journey in it. And you would, and we know this for a fact, you would not be as grateful or thankful for the thing if it happened right too quick. If it was just like, boom, there it is, you would just you would almost feel like you were robbed of the experience of it. And that's not what you want. You want to experience the contrast. You want to experience the resistance. You want to experience the journey. There's a lot of beautiful things that happen on the road to manifestation. You know, a lot of people just want to bypass or, complain along the journey so much that they miss all the beautiful things that happen. Just be aware. Just be aware that you're on the timeline to that thing that you want, and it's all good. Anything that happens from the time you intend for that thing that you want until you get it, everything that happens between that time is all good. It's all good. It's all for your expansion. It's all for your development. It's all for the purpose of co-creation. You've got to know that. You've got to know that. If you're obsessing over something, that's okay too. That's okay too. If it was meant for you to be anything other than that, then you would be. Because when you try to manifest things, you tend to overthink. That's a part of contrast too. If you're overthinking something, if you're obsessing over something, that means you don't feel worthy of it. You don't obsess over something that you feel worthy of. But again, we say it's okay if you are, because that's where you are in your journey. It's not always going to be like that. You're not always going to obsess over the thing that you don't have or that you don't currently have. Your higher self or the higher self understands that everything you could possibly want exists. So your higher self does not experience any lack. Your higher self does not experience a feeling of need. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. So understand that worthiness is the key. Worthiness is the key. That's the key. That is the key to opening up your sense of awareness of the unfolding of the thing that you want. And acknowledging that you are on that timeline. You're on that timeline. You're being propelled into feeling worthy of that thing. You're being triggered into being worthy of that thing. And just make it simple like that. Just make it simple. That's as simple as you need to make it. When you feel triggered and it makes you feel unworthy, just leave it at that. Just say, okay, I don't feel worthy of this yet, and that's okay. Give yourself permission for that to be okay. Give yourself permission for that to be okay. I see the contrast. I'm triggered. I don't feel worthy of this yet. And that's okay. That means I'm aligning to it. That means I'm calibrating. That means when I get it, I'll be in a place to receive it and to keep it. Don't you want to be able to keep the thing that you really want? Sustain it? Then you're going to have to feel worthy of it. So, give yourself a pat on the back. Be encouraged. You're going to get it. You're going to have that sense of worthiness. And it's all good. It's all good. You're doing great. You're doing great. You really, really are. You're doing great. You should be excited. You should really be excited. You should really be proud of yourself and excited, because this ascension, the manifestations that you are embarking upon, is phenomenal. It's beautiful. It's elegant. It's a sense of well-being that you've never been able to experience before. It's a sense of abundance that you've never been able to experience before. It's a sense of worthiness that you've never been able to experience before. So enjoy every minute of it. You deserve it. You deserve it. Be loved.